Let's get real for a second. A few years ago, I hit a rough patch. I felt completely lost, and I spiraled into depression. It wasn't just my goals that felt impossible, it was my entire life. My health was the worst it had ever been. I went from 190 pounds to 225 at my peak, and it was obvious. If you followed me for a while, you might have noticed it. My face got inflamed, I was noticeably bigger, and I just didn't feel like myself anymore. I lost my enthusiasm, my clarity, my ambition. I became short-tempered, impatient, argumentative. Essentially, I wasn't the person I wanted to be, especially not the dad and husband I knew I could be. I felt like I was living someone else's life, like an alien had taken over my body. I was in this deep place of quiet desperation. I didn't want to admit how bad it was, especially because I've always portrayed an uplifting image to the world. But deep down, I was suffering in silence. I was that person, stuck, numb, and not feeling anything beyond just surviving. Maybe that resonates with you. Maybe you're feeling trapped in a life that doesn't excite you, stuck in a body you don't recognize, or living in a relationship that's just okay when you know it could be so much more. You might be saying you're fine, putting on that smile and telling people, "I'm okay, nothing to complain about," when really you're screaming inside. You feel like you're not where you want to be, and that's because you've gotten comfortable. Too comfortable. For me, comfort became the killer. When I was 28, I had everything: financial success, a dream house, millions in the bank, but I got too comfortable. I stopped growing. I stopped setting goals, pushing myself, learning. I coasted. I started binge-watching TV, just wasting hours of my life. It's easy to get stuck in that rut, whether you're already financially stable or struggling. Eventually, you get used to feeling miserable, like it's normal. And that's when you stop living, when you stop growing. But then something changed. Life has a funny way of giving you a wake-up call when you least expect it. For me, it was on a sunny beach in San Diego. I was strolling down the sand, earbuds in, feeling okay about myself, when this guy walked by and yelled, "Dad bods unite." At first, I couldn't hear him, so I pulled out my earbuds. He smiled and repeated it, "Dad bods unite." And in that moment, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I looked like that guy. It was a wake-up call I didn't know I needed. I went home and stepped on the scale. I was 222 pounds, 37 pounds heavier than I had ever been. But the number wasn't the issue. My businesses were plateauing. My marriage felt distant. I had no excitement, no energy. I was just existing, not living. It was time for a change. You're at a point in your life where you're stuck, not happy with your health, your finances, or your relationships. This is your wake-up call. Maybe it's this video. Maybe it's that feeling you've been having, waking up every day feeling like life is passing you by. It's time to take action. Don't wait for a moment to slap you in the face like mine did. I didn't want to share my story, but now I realize how important it is. If I can turn things around, so can you? I lost 37 pounds, got my energy back, and rekindled the best relationship I've ever had with my kids and my wife. I'm still a work in progress, but every day I get better. This guide is for anyone who feels stuck, whether you're struggling with your health, your finances, or just life in general. You have the power to reinvent yourself. You just have to decide that it's time to wake up and take that first step. So let's dive in together. Step number 1, recognize the problem. Comfort is the killer. Getting too comfortable is sneaky. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. But once you realize it, you can break free. Don't let yourself become a prisoner to the comfort zone. Start taking action now. Life is waiting for you to start living again. Have you ever found yourself avoiding dinner with friends, claiming you're busy, but deep down, you can't even afford the $20 for a meal out? Maybe you've been stuck in a financial rut for so long that it feels like you're barely keeping your head above water. It might not be an emergency that shakes you awake, but I encourage you to make this moment your wake-up call. Whether it's your health, your finances, your relationships, or any part of your life, this is your chance to make a change. Don't let the comfort of your current situation hold you back. There's so much more life ahead if you choose to take action. The first step to transformation is honesty. Denial may feel easier, but it won't help you move forward. I had to sit down and ask myself tough questions. How's my health? Terrible. My business? Stagnant. My marriage? Struggling. My happiness? Non-existent. I wasn't showing up for my kids the way I wanted to. I could no longer ignore the reality that my life wasn't where I wanted it to be. What I invite you to do now is ask yourself those hard questions. Take a moment, write them down, and truly assess where you stand. What have you resigned yourself to? Is it your finances, your health, or your relationships? Recognizing what you've accepted as just the way things are is the first step to unlocking change. Once you're honest with yourself, the next step is to set goals that excite you. When I was younger, setting goals was my driving force. But somewhere along the way, after achieving them, I stopped setting new ones. I felt aimless, so I started small. My goal wasn't to lose 30 pounds. It was simply to exercise for 60 minutes every day. I didn't focus on how fast I was going. I just focused on showing up. Over time, I built momentum and began to feel alive again. It's the small wins that matter most. Progress doesn't have to be massive to make a difference. If you're struggling financially, even saving $5 a day will add up over time. Small steps lead to big results. Tony Robbins says, "What makes you happy is progress." And when you're actively moving forward, no matter how small the steps, it fills you with purpose and confidence. But let's face it, when you're at rock bottom, whether it's with your health, your finances, or your relationships, it's tough to get started. It's hard to build momentum, and it's easy to feel like it's all pointless. But if you focus on progress, not perfection, you'll start to realize that the journey itself is what brings transformation. It's not the end result, but the process of becoming a better version of yourself that brings true fulfillment. Next, look at your life and start weeding out what isn't working. I was never a morning person until I became a parent. Waking up when the kids woke up only led to chaos and stress. So, I made a radical change. I began waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. every day. It wasn't easy at first, but after a while, it became second nature. That simple shift changed my entire life. Small changes, like when you wake up or how you approach your daily habits, can have a profound impact on your future. And when you make those changes, make sure you have a why. For me, it was my kids. I couldn't be the dad I wanted to be if I was stressed, overweight, and lacking energy. I wanted to give my kids the best energy and healthiest habits possible. I wanted to be strong enough to toss them high in the air, something I couldn't have done just a few years ago. Find your why, whether it's for yourself, your spouse, your kids, or your future. A strong why will keep you motivated, even when things get tough. So, ask yourself, what's going on in your life right now? What needs to change? Start with small, honest steps, and watch as you begin to transform your life for the better. If you're feeling stuck in a state of depression or struggling through tough financial times, especially if this has gone on for years and feels like it's never-ending, it's essential to reconnect with your why. What's your deeper purpose behind what you're going through? I can tell you this. Once you uncover that reason, everything else starts to fall into place. When I found my why, it became much easier to make shifts in my life. For example, waking up early became effortless. I focused on one simple thing: drinking only water, no sugary drinks, just pure hydration. Then it became easy to change my diet. Everything clicked, and the changes became second nature because the why behind it was powerful and clear. The reason many of us fall into emotional or financial ruts, and often they grow worse over time, is because we've lost sight of our purpose. We've forgotten why we're working so hard, why we're struggling, and why we even care. When we lose our sense of why, life becomes a series of aimless steps, like wandering through fog. It's what Henry David Thoreau described as lives of quiet desperation. To break free from that, you need to have something to look forward to. Think about a time when you had something exciting coming up, maybe a dream vacation already paid for, just around the corner. You probably felt better, more energized, anticipating what was to come. When you're stuck in a tough place emotionally or financially, the brain needs a sense of hope, something to focus on that shifts you out of your current biochemical state. So, here's what I suggest. Grab a pen and paper and write down your goals. But don't focus solely on the outcomes. Instead, focus on the effort required. When I lost weight, I didn't focus on a specific number of pounds to drop in a month. Instead, my effort goal was simply to show up at the gym every day for a set amount of time. Then, as I kept going, the weight loss naturally followed. Same thing applies to your finances. What's your big goal? Do you want to save $10,000 or maybe $100,000? Do you want to increase your monthly income from $3,000 to $10,000? Don't limit yourself to what feels safe and realistic, because that's not where excitement and change happen. A goal that's just a little more than where you are won't get you energized. Set a goal that excites you, that makes you feel alive. Goals aren't about just getting stuff. They're about progress and personal growth. Write down what you want to achieve in health, fitness, finances, career, and relationships. For me, one of the simplest relationship goals was to reconnect with my family, to build a deeper connection with my kids and my spouse. What is your why for each area of your life? Once you've clarified your goals, it's time to return to the basics. I realized that I had stopped reading, learning, and growing. Personal development isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about continual progress and growth. Like health, self-improvement is a lifestyle. Whether it's reading books, listening to podcasts, or learning new skills, commit to spending at least 20 to 60 minutes a day doing this. Next, you need to evaluate what's not serving you. Maybe they're old friends, toxic substances, or habits that are draining your energy and keeping you stuck. For me, it was drinking. I realized it was just a way to numb myself, to escape the discomfort. I made the decision to quit drinking a couple of years ago, and it was life-changing. For you, it might be spending too much time with people who aren't growing or mindlessly scrolling through social media. Whatever it is, identify what's draining your energy and set boundaries around it. You don't need to quit everything forever, but create limits so it doesn't control you. Then revisit your why. When you have a clear sense of purpose, you're energized. That dopamine rush of progress starts to kick in, and you get hooked on seeing how much you can change your life. That's when real transformation happens. I lost 37 pounds, rebuilt my business, and even improved my relationships, all by consistently focusing on my why. And when you commit to your own journey, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish in just 12 months. You'll look back and think, why didn't I do this sooner? The only reason your goals seem far off is because you've been stuck. Once you break free from those subconscious patterns and start moving toward your goals, everything shifts. And here's an important part. Reprogramming your subconscious is key. Most of the time, we're stuck because of ingrained subconscious beliefs, habits, and emotions. To break that cycle, you need to start working on reprogramming your mind. I offer a free financial success hypnosis designed to help with this. Over 1 million people worldwide have used it to shift their thinking and start seeing real results. You can get it for free. Just click the link. Take a moment to think about where you are in life. Are you ready for change? If so, start with your why, then set goals, take consistent action, and reprogram your subconscious mind. You have the power to create the life you dream of. It all begins with deciding that today is the day you start.